Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a new case of how to perform phaco in a small pupil. This case was operated by me at Madhvi Netralaya. So this is an 80-year-old gentleman who is on Tamsulosin and his pupil is refusing to bulge. He has been put on atropine for last 3 days before this surgery started and there was no dilatation at all. I had operated his other eye, so I knew it is an extremely floppy iris. In that I had used B-hex ring and then I had to do stretch pupilloplasty, and the iris was so floppy that there was a lot of chaffing that happened, and at the temporal end of the iris there was an atrophy at the end of 1 year. So this gentleman comes after 1 year to get the other eye operated. Started with the basic, injected some phenocaine, and you can see that has no effect. The pupil is not dilating at all, but this pupil is very elastic. You can see when I inject viscoelastic inside, that was viscous dispersive, and now the viscocoercive agent is going inside, and you can see how well the pupil is dilating. So I thought that let me give a try, and I can inject a B-hex ring later in if required. So I started with Capsulorhexis, just used the pupil margin as my rhexis marker and just went beyond that to complete my rhexis. So thankfully I was able to get a good quality rhexis. It was complete, there was no tags, and the capsule comes out. And now I do a gentle hydrodissection. The key here is not to inject too much of bases inside, otherwise the reverse pupillary block that I have created with viscoelastic will go. So that is the key to perform this phacoemulsification. That's what I was thinking, that let's use the reverse pupillary block of this viscoelastic to our advantage and get the maximum exposure possible. So it is a magnified view. You can see some shadow behind. That is just because I am using a crop feature and a mask feature. So I started with the sculpt mode. I took away some cortex, went beyond the rhexis margin, tried to do a chop. I was very hesitant for the first chop because I was not sure what is going to happen if I'm going to touch the pupil margin and the pupil is going to come down. But as the case progressed, I got some more confidence. I tried to stay in the central safe zone only, and I went a little bit more deep and performed the chop. So I was able to get a good primary crack. So I thought that I'll create 4 quadrants and then go ahead with the phaco aspiration. So you can see I am not in the chopping mode right now. I am actually in the sculpt mode because the pupil is the cataract is around grade 2, and the machine that I am using is having great amount of hold in that mode only. Now I go directly into the phaco aspiration mode, that is the coordinate mode for other machines, and I just stay in the central safe zone. Now you see to pick that nucleus piece, I went a little deep. The irrigation ports went inside, and it removed the reverse pupillary block, and the pupil again became to around 3.5 mm. So again I thought that till I am safe, the pupillary margin is not coming to my tip, I'll stay in the central safe zone and I won't take out the probe and inject viscoelastic to create that block again. This I usually do. I don't want to do too much of instrumentation during these kind of pupil, because the more amount of time I spend bringing the instrument out and then again going in, it prolongs the surgery time, and it creates the iris tends to get more floppy as the case progresses. So I just stay in the central safe zone, and you can see almost all of the nucleus has come out, but now it was not very safe to be there. So I just went out, injected more visco. It was completely filled. Now there is a good exposure of that nuclear fragment that is inside. So now I go again, and you see immediately I start aspirating, and you see the pupil size starts to come down. That is because I was going below the pupillary plane to lose that or to break that reverse pupillary block. So again I have to now do the same thing. So I just go beyond the pupillary margin. Now what I am doing is I am trying to lift up the epinuclear plate from the PC, so that there is a cushion behind. Once I start taking epinuclear plate out, there is some amount of cushion that is behind that, so that my PC is safe. So that's what I am doing. This can be counterproductive also. I was very fortunate that the pupil didn't become of around 2 mm, rather than it became around 3.5 mm. So what I did was the same thing. Now I am very careful not to bring the irrigation port behind, but the aspiration port went behind, and that aspiration port again broke the reverse pupillary block, because that difference of pressure went off. But then I was very meticulous, very slow, and the key in this scenario is to be very slow. You can see now the pupil is becoming very floppy. The iris is becoming very floppy actually. And once I caught the pupillary margin in my aspiration port, so I went from the other end, and now I thought that I will get some hold of that epinuclear plate edge. And what I'm trying to do is to create a suction where a hold strong enough to actually flip the epinuclear plate, and that way everything will come into AC, and then I'll aspirate that is the whole aim of doing this. Now what I do is not advisable. Never go through the main wound in this kind of scenario. Otherwise, if the pupil iris becomes too floppy, it will start coming through the main wound. But that was a forgiving mistake for me in this scenario. It's not always like that. So now I am trying to move that epinuclear plate with irrigation port and aspiration port to stay in the middle. Again I was thinking of going through the main wound, but thankfully I stopped. Went again because the epinuclear plate was not budging at all. So then I just again started with irrigation aspiration. This time I was lucky, got a good hold, flipped that epinuclear plate, and everything came into the aspiration port. You can see the vacuum is around 350 and aspiration flow rate is of around 30-35. So now I keep moving that. This video is playing at around 1.5x, so it is little slower than what it is looking, but the patience is the key in this scenario. So the aim of going through main wound in this scenario is to create a plane between the epinuclear plate and the cortex and the PC, so that because I'm not able to see the capsular edge and everything, so if the epinuclear plate is freely mobile, then there is less chance that I'm going to hold any other structure and catch the epinuclear plate only. So now with this time, what I want is to somehow bring that epinuclear plate into the AC, as I know that it is completely mobile and completely free. So one edge has come into the anterior chamber above the pupillary margin, so I use that to my advantage and start tugging the rest of the epinuclear plate. So this is the maneuver that has helped me in a lot of scenario. Whenever in doubt, try to lift the nucleus, the epinuclear plate or whatever it is into the AC above the pupillary margin when you have low visibility. That way you are sure what you are pulling at. So now you can see everything is done nicely. So now I switch to the cortex cleanup. So in this you can see I went into the polish mode. It is cortical fiber. It's not it should not come as in the polish mode because vacuum is too low, but that is what makes it safe. I just want to keep it slow, pull it out into the central area, and then aspirate it. Even if it is slow, it doesn't matter as long as my capsular edge is safe. So So you see how slowly it is. So even if say I catch the capsular margin and I tug, I'll see that the entire capsule is coming this side. I'll see wrinkling in the posterior capsule. That way I'll know that this is not the correct thing that I am pulling at, and I'll stop. So it won't be that harmful. If I go in the cortical mode in this scenario, it is definitely going to create a capsular dialysis if I'm not very careful. So again, using the same principle to free up the edges so that I can pull it out. So that's done. Almost all of the cortical matter you can see is out from the pupillary zone. There might be a little amount of cortical matter that here and there, but we are not too bothered about that at this stage. The aim is to clear the pupillary margin right now. Little bit of capsular polishing that I did. Now you see I just touched the iris. That was not supposed to be done. Again, reverse pupillary block to our play. Filled the viscoelastic. I usually do hydroimplantation, but time has taught me that it is not the best scenario to do that in a floppy iris. So it is a Indian hydrophobic lens that is going through 2.4 mm of incision, and it's completely delivered into the AC. And now I'll dial it into the lens bag. So slowly it has to be done. The leading haptic was already inside the bag. The trailing haptic, I suppose, has gone inside. So what I will do is, again, I have re-injected the viscoelastic. You can see the pupil is a little more dilated. I am using a crutch forceps, a crutch dialer actually, and I am seeing that everything is inside. And you can see there is a little bit of cortical fiber at the top end, but not too bothered about it. So this should be done at last. It should not be done before you insert the IOL, and the reason you will see now. Now till now, when I went through main port, the iris was not coming through the main wound, and now you see it has once you touch the pupillary margin, you touch the iris, manipulate it too much, it becomes so floppy. And this is exactly the reason why I didn't use BX ring in this case, because in the other eye when I had used, it had become floppy. Though BX ring was very helpful, and it was holding the iris a little bit, not always coming into the port, but this time I thought that I'll try without BX ring, and thankfully it paid off well. Now what I am doing is keeping the aspiration port in the center and going to all the angles so that there is no amount of viscoelastic remaining. This maneuver has to be done because I have injected a lot of viscoelastic in this case. I usually use like 1/3 of this amount, but as many good surgeons say, actually Dr. Uday Devgan says that visco is cheaper than vitreous. So that's the case closed. I have done the hydration of the wound. Now I'll inject the intrastromal moxifloxacin, so that way I am safe with post-op infection. Now some amount of dexamethasone I am injecting subconjunctively, so that next day there is least amount of inflammation. So that's the case closed. Thankfully everything was good. Little bit of DM fold was there, so I do some extra hydration, and thankfully the patient had a clear cornea next day. So it was a very rewarding case. Thank you everyone for watching.